Hey guys, Chris Hansen here. Welcome back to the channel. This is Karate Unity. Our content focuses on cross-training and other arts and combat sports to make your base art better. And in my case, it's karate. This is our podcast edition, and we have a very special guest, Joey De Los Reyes here. I've been following the man for a long time. We have a lot of commonality in our martial arts circles. He's the owner and founder of Combat Arts Training Academy since 2000. He's got a mixed curriculum. I've appreciated his cross-training journey and all the things he's done for the martial arts. And I'm really happy to have you here, brother. So welcome, Joey. Please tell us about yourself and where to find you.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, for having me here. I really appreciate it. I've been doing martial arts for quite a long time, over 30 years. I think, like most people, I did the traditional stuff. I've done like karate and taekwondo. And then I discovered this Jeet Kune Do school. And, you know, back then we had things like Black Belt Magazine, Inside Kung Fu, all these crazy magazines. And I grew up in the last portion era of watching Bruce Lee movies, Channel 47 movies. So I've always had like, you know, that as part of my life. And compounded, I grew up not like in a bad area, but like I grew up like not in the best of areas. So it seemed at the time I was the only Asian guy that went to this particular school. And if you didn't know how to defend yourself, well, you're going to have a long day. So that kind of like pushed me towards practicality. And I was really enamored with, at that time, Jeet Kune Do. And so when this Jeet Kune Do school opened up, I was like, I got to join the school. And it was JKD, Muay Thai, Savate, Kali. And at that time,
who's the teacher, by the way?
It was at MAFA. So MAFA, when it first opened up, like they were ahead of their time. And, you know, Crew Gerald didn't realize Crew Gerald and his other like 6-7 business partners, they were really ahead of the time. I think I was actually their first member. And I was so scared to join up that I actually paid for my friend. I paid for my friend's first month to come with me. And when I joined that school, I discovered a lot of these cool martial arts. I was one of the first guys to introduce Brazilian Jiu Jitsu to their curriculum. And because part of my JKD testing is that you have to be able to fight in all ranges. And I knew that my grappling was really poor, so I took on this jiu-jitsu coach, Claude Patrick, as you know, who competed in the UFC. So he was actually my first. Sorry, that's actually incorrect. My second Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach, and so I knew a lot of stuff from JKD. I thought it was a cat's meow. I go, JKD is the best martial art. It's so cool and everything, and then I decided to like, you know, go and explore this idea of JKD because back then there was two approaches to JKD. There was eclectic and progressive. And my understanding of it is eclectic is like, I'm going to take a takedown from wrestling. I'm going to take a kick from taekwondo. I'm going to take a punch from boxing and make up my own martial art. And that's not really what it was. What it was like, you have to live in a particular martial arts style for a while, understand its nuances, its pros and cons, and then take it into your own system. And then you move on to martial art B and you do the same thing. You may revisit martial art A because you go, now I understand this technique better, but you're living deep dive into each martial art. So let's put this to the test. So I went to a boxing club and I got beat up with a jab. And then I went to a kickboxing club and I ate a spinning back kick in the corner.
Yeah.
And then I remember I got to a situation on the street and this guy took me down. And thankfully, he had mercy on me. And like, so like, you know, you begin to realize like, okay, pretty cool stuff, this idea of JKD. I understand the concept of it, but I know a lot of stuff, but I don't know a lot of stuff. I can't really pull this stuff off. And you're starting to begin to question the training methodology. Like, how come this stuff doesn't look good? I can't do this stuff. And, you know, back then we had like, you know, martial arts movies and I go, I don't look like that. I can tell you that right now. And then when UFC came out, we were stunned.
Yeah.
And then it really kind of like made you question, like, if your stuff is actually applicable and can you actually do this stuff? And then fast forward where I started to move more into law enforcement security stuff. And again, because of my upbringing and my crowd I hung around with, I found myself working things like the door. I did executive protection bodyguarding for Microsoft. I was able to do a lot of like loss prevention. So I actually made arrests and stuff like that. And then also too, I was lucky enough to be picked for an executive protection team. I was able to work with Microsoft for a bit. I've done some strike work, surveillance stuff. And so what basically happened, I started to move towards the world of application, or what I thought was application, hands-on stuff. Because I found that a lot of stuff that I did in the dojo per se or academy just didn't actually apply to what I was doing out there. But, I just want to preface this by saying that I think people take martial arts for various reasons. And I totally understand that and I respect that. Most of my school are there. Most of my members from my school are here for the cultural reason, socializing, to learn the
Fitness.
art, get in shape, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
My focus back then, and now it's coming back to this again, is self-defense and your ability to apply martial arts, especially under stress. I also did a lot of competition with regards to training competitive fighters, and I trained competitive fighters with regards to kickboxing, Muay Thai, K1, and MMA. And it was done basically on an amateur, professional level, both nationally and internationally. And I never wanted to do competition training, but a lot of guys thought I was good at it because the way I was able to apply techniques while under stress.
Mm.
And so now I've pretty much semi-retired from competition training, and I've come back full circle now to where we are today. It's basically the application of self-defense, like how do you apply your martial arts for self-defense? And I've also gone down this rabbit hole of different teaching methodologies because, being in the world of self-defense and competition at the time, I was always disconcerted that what I was teaching wasn't being shown in the ring. Sometimes you're like, okay, I understand we're doing 10,000 drills, but I don't really see the transference from these pad works, these bag works to the ring. And the same thing maybe in self-defense situations when we do dynamic simulations or self-defense.
Why is that?
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that, right?
Yeah.
So we can go down a different hole here, but drills to me have a limited use. I think for arguably they're really good for teaching this thing called fundamental techniques.
Yeah.
And then after the student gets an idea what the fundamental technique is, they need to apply it. They need to play the sport.
Yeah.
And what I find wrong with martial arts, and I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback with this, is that we don't play our sports. We hide under the guise of oh, our martial arts is too deadly. We can't do it in real life. And I understand that obviously there's a lot of martial arts techniques out there that can cause a lot of great bodily harm or even death and stuff like that. But our job as instructors is to ethically and safely bring our student to that representation as much as possible. So for example, when I prepare an athlete for a fight, my job is to get him ready for the ring, but I can't have him pounded on the head every day where he gets a concussion. How do I simulate that? How do I get him as close as possible to the ring and at the same time make sure he's safe during training? That's the kind of contrast, the problem we have in our arts. How do we do it for self-defense? We can't use real knives. We can't have blood flying all over the place. We can't use real firearms. There's an element of obviously trust between the instructor and all the actors in the simulation. We know it's not for real, but there's a lot of emotional quotient, emotional content that's actually missing from a self-defense situation.
Yeah.
So with regards to drills, we take away the decision making from the student. The student doesn't know how to make decisions. They're always looking towards the instructor. Okay, what's the next step?
Yeah.
They're not able to read cues because they're training on sterile environment like the bag or pads or compliant partners. Fighting is chaotic. People don't act like that on the street. So I always say this, you don't know you're in a fight until you're in a fight. And I find a lot of martial arts practitioners, and this was my fault too for the longest time. If a guy put up his dukes, I was like, yes, we're in a fight. But as well as I know, there is a whole kind of dialogue and there's a ritual of posturing and stuff like that and pushing and shoving and name calling and stuff like that. You're in a fight, dude. You don't realize it, but you are in a fight. It may not look like this.
Yeah.
But you're in a fight. And whether that's sucker stab, that sucker punch, or a sucker tackle, it's going to come sooner or later. And you can't apply your martial arts because you're not able to make good reads. You're not able to read your opponent because and I'm going to put myself in this category, sometimes we train in too much of a sterile environment for the sake of this thing called safety, or the sake of this thing called our techniques are so deadly we can never ever practice that. But I think that's not true. It isn't. We
Yeah.
need to find creative ways to bring our student close to that line and be ethically, obviously safe, right?
I wanted to, this is on along the same line. So we had a pre-chat about this, and we were talking about, we spend as coaches and practitioners too much time on excessive drilling, and it's counterproductive. This is what we were talking about before, and I think to your point. So my question is, like, I know how I do it with my guys, but I'd love to know. So how do you scaffold that skill where you're showing some baseline attributes, and you gradually, scale it up to self-defense preparation? Like, what's your process there?
Wow, this is like, I gotta be honest with you. I like the word scaffolding because there's many ways of getting there. That's number one. So that's a very good choice of words.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a lot of things in play here. And like, so I've gone down the rabbit hole lately with ecological dynamics.
Yes.
And then you guys can like check it out yourselves and everything. And so ecological dynamics, as far as I know, and again, I'm a neophyte of this stuff, guys. So you can comment that I'm wrong, yes or right. I just don't know. I'm just actually exploring this myself. So I'm a white belt per se. And so like ecological dynamics is basically how organisms work with each other in a particular environment under constant change.
Mm.
This is really, really important, right? How do we use that information to adapt to the situation and also to predict what's going to happen next? So ecological dynamics is a teaching methodology that encompasses many things. It's like, how do people learn? How do we teach? Something called direct perception. How do we actually perceive things? And then also to sports psychology. So it's really cool. It's been around for only 15 years, I think, or 16 years. So is my belief.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people are actually applying it. So I'm going to be jumping around here. And so like, it seems really confusing, but if the viewers or listeners can ever do their own research and get back to me what you guys are doing, that'd be much appreciated. So like, first and foremost, right, we have block training. So block training is like teaching the fundamental techniques, right? And then once the student gets that, and again, this is where the art comes in. So we have science, we have art, and it's up to the coach's experience. And this is part of the art. He has to recognize like, okay, I think he's got it, right? So now we need to add some kind of like decision-making,
Problem
some kind
solving.
of randomness. So for
Yep.
example, if he's been doing this particular drill on the bag, what's his next step we can move to? We could move to pads, but you and I both know there's a problem with pads.
Yeah.
No one holds pads properly. They don't give the right cues.
Yeah.
And like, there's no thinking. The student is just actually
It's
holding
just
the pad
there.
for you,
Yeah.
giving you direction.
Yeah.
What would be best? And again, this is the art aspect of it, is he actually works with another student. Now he's beginning to read the shoulders, the eyes, the hips. So he's getting micro expressions, or I think they call it haptics, right? He's beginning to read body language. He now knows what to look for. And that's really important because the eyes, we use like 3 senses during a fight usually. Typically we use our eyes, we use kind of like, we actually use touch and something called the sixth sense or experience. I don't lick my opponents. Maybe my opponent will yell at me, he's gonna kill me. And maybe I can hear a punch coming out of the air. I don't know. For all you Daredevil fans out there, you could do that stuff. But in all honesty, your eyes is where you get direct perceptions, where what you work on. We don't train that enough. We don't train our students of where to look and what to look for.
Yeah.
Why? We micromanage them by giving them tons of instructions.
Yeah.
You throw a punch, you're gonna block, and you're gonna come back with a punch. Why not this? He throws a punch, use this block. What do you see? And he's like, what do I see? Where do I look now? Well, sensei, I can kick to the groin. I could do a reverse punch to the face. I could do whatever, a ridge hand behind his head. Awesome. Now you're directing the student how to look, where to look, instead of me telling them what to do.
You're facilitating.
But, yeah, I'm the guide. That's what like Guru Dan says it really well. You're just a guide, right? Now, of course, we can go back to block training and go, okay, now you see the possibilities. However, today we're going to work on a kick to the groin, yada, 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 yada. But students need to be taught where to look. You know, go ahead. Sorry.
So I was just going to say, I love this because it's as an educator, I'm a martial art instructor, but my full-time job is an educator, as you know, cool. As a lot of my fans are listening to is teaching, right? Teaching really helps from an academic point of view, but also helps with curriculum delivery in martial arts. Like what you're saying is like the Socratic method, where you're basically, knowledge is there. it's kind of like energy, right? Energy is neither
Right.
created nor destroyed. But the
Right.
same, you can say if you substitute the word energy for knowledge, it's pretty much the
Right.
same thing. So
Yes.
these students that you're talking about, what you're doing, correct me if I'm wrong, is you're facilitating them by asking them questions. You have an agenda, but you're asking them questions to unlock their creativity so that they can be part of this ecological dynamic, right?
Yes, exactly. And you
Yeah.
know, you touch on two great things there. Basically, like in a subtle way, you're trying to say we're teaching people how to learn, and this is really important, right? Because like I'm not the guru on the stage. I'm not the sage on the stage. I'm not the master. I'm just a guide, a facilitator.
Yeah.
So my job is like to open your eyes to see these particular techniques, to question things, question the dogma, and to teach you how to learn. So that like, you know, when I present a technique to you, they ask what the creativity comes in and go, well, sensei, why can't I do this instead? Yeah, you can. You're a particular body type and speed and you're half my age. Go ahead and pull it off, man. That's in
Yeah.
your toolbox. That's in your capacity to do those particular techniques. Who am I to say that you can't do that? Now, there is a variance that cannot change. For example, like arguably, got to keep your chin down. You got to hit with your two big knuckles. How do you generate force, right? Through your sort of ground up, through your foot, your knee, your hip, et cetera, et cetera. These are things that are usually consistent with all techniques. They can't change. Arguably, there are guys in the UFC who drop their hands and they do really well without keeping their hands up.
Yeah.
I've seen guys throw crosses and knock people out. They don't pivot properly. The other hand drops and they don't follow a straight direct line. And we sit there and go, that's an ugly cross. Okay, he got results.
But it worked.
Yeah, and it works. So like
Landed.
I understand it. Like sometimes as artists, you know, martial artists, we want to see the perfect technique and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But also, don't results matter too?
Yeah.
And as long as the student's protected, he understands the idea of like, you know, keeping his chin down, governing his self-defense, the ability to move in case he's threatened, what's the idea of footwork, all that kind of stuff. Then why can't he train these techniques? Why can't he add his own creativity to these techniques? So this is what I would start with, basically trying to get him to learn how to read and how to learn. And I'm just shortening everything all at once. This is a journey, right?
Yeah.
I'm just giving you, like an idea. The next challenge with us is how do we teach students to recall techniques? Because we teach them so much stuff.
Yeah.
All right. And so how do we teach them things like
How do they
decision
remember it?
making and how to
Yeah.
remember stuff? All right. So then I might leave that technique and go to something else. And it's called interleaving, right? So I'll go to another technique. And the guy's like, what the hell are you doing? We're jumping from one technique to another. But I want him to forget. I want him to forget what we just did. And then guess what? We're going to go back to the technique we just learned at the beginning of the class. Why? I want you to learn how to remember. And I want you to make mistakes. So let's see how much you remember from maybe your long-term memory. We'll say, for one of a better term, even though it's not really your long-term memory. We want you to be able to pull it back out and see, can you figure out how to do that technique I just showed you half an hour ago? And this is how we basically start working on things called neuroplasticity. Right? Your ability to forget and recall. It is obviously 10,000 repetitions, all right? But it's also your ability to like pull up that stuff you've done in the past. And then hopefully, if this model works well, you could do that in a real fight. You could recall what you have to do. But that's what we're doing with students.
Yeah.
We're asking them to basically recall things that we've trained them. People talk about muscle memory. Muscles don't have memories.
No.
They don't.
No.
All right. And remember, every situation is different in a fight. Like, I'll give you an example. Like lately in my knife fighting session with my fellow ninjas, we've been adding left-handed people. Damn all you left-handed people out there. All right. And
yeah.
You know, if you go to most weapon classes, 99% of the weapon classes out there,
Right side.
right hand versus right hand.
Yeah.
Right hand versus right hand.
Yeah.
They're all homogenous drills that are made compliant and everything is good.
Yeah.
What happened to the left-handed people?
That's right.
Do we never ever get into conflicts with left-handed people? Like ever? Is it possible with critical thinking that I'm going to get into a situation where someone could wield a knife in their left hand against me?
Yeah.
Guess what, boys and girls? We've been trying to work some disarms. It's ugly. It's messy.
Yeah.
Like, dude, where's your thumb? Like, what happened to your thumb? It's different now. It's gone.
Yeah.
We need to introduce that back into the game. So in long and short, we have block training, where we actually have to teach something called fundamentals. We want them to play the sport. So we got to have them train their eyes. This is really, really critical. We have to have them like understand range, application. The only time we can do this is get them to have some full gear on, get out there and play. And some people can call them sparring, constrained sparring, restricted sparring, whatever, or even just simple reaction drills. Person A is going to throw either a push, a front kick, or he's going to throw a roundhouse kick.
Yeah.
Then now the student has to now start working on actually his eyes. He has to actually see body language. It's randomized. He has to work on decision-making skills, which we talked about a few minutes ago. Can he remember what technique is associated with that particular attack?
Yeah.
What we want to see. All right. Can we compound this? Sure, we can. We can add more techniques. All right. We can go to confined close quarters. We can minimize some of the equipment. Now we're getting a little bit more into like the ethics of like this training. Can we start adding things like that attack your emotions, your sense of psyche as a human being, swearing, slandering you, yelling at you, stuff like that. I've trained officers who've never been sworn at. They've never had everyone you swear words against them. And when you start swearing at them, you start to counter visibly.
You can see them freeze up.
Yeah, freeze up. We definitely don't want that. But do we train that? Do we actually train that? The other day we did like a self-defense scenario, and I was filming it. And I go, hey, I'm gonna be that obnoxious guy behind the camera. I'm gonna be behind that guy behind the camera going, hey, I'm filming. What's going on here, guys? I'm gonna report you guys to the police. I'm putting this on social media.
Yeah.
Now, is that going to constrain you not to defend yourself? Or you're like, oh, I'm gonna be on social media, and now I'm gonna wait for this guy to throw the first punch.
Yeah.
Whereas arguably that wasn't really the best scenario for you.
Yeah.
Or maybe this guy's goading you. He goes, I got it. Come on, let's go smash him. Go first. And now you hit this guy first. You draw first. And that maybe was not the legal or ethical or tactical thing you should have done. All right. So again, there's so many ways about going about this, but most of the thing I'm trying to get to is get as close to your activity as possible.
Yeah.
Here's something that is against that. I can take a soccer ball and dribble around a pylon. I am great at dribbling a ball around a pylon.
Around a pylon.
That in itself is a sport.
Yep.
Okay? But put me on the field where people are now coming at me.
Yep.
And see what happens.
Yep.
It's totally different. Now people say like, well, you're just going to recall it in real time. Let me give you a story. There was a really, I forget his name, world-renowned baseball player. All right. And he was challenged by a softball player. And she said, you can't hit these balls. And this guy's like, what are you talking about? I'm a world-class baseball player.
Yeah.
Softball is not a problem at all. Let's put it to the test. So he went out there. I believe he missed like 7 out of 10 shots. He missed 7 out of 10 pitches.
Wow.
Now, what's the difference? Gloves involved, balls involved, bats involved, same goal. What was different was the underhand toss versus the overhand toss.
Wow.
He is a black belt at overhand tosses.
Yep.
He's able to read the body cues, the haptics from that. His eyes are towards that.
Same pattern.
Heaven forbid someone threw a ball underhanded at him.
Yep.
He missed about 7 out of 10 shots.
Yep. I'm not surprised.
Don't sit there and say, I'll apply it in real life. No, you're probably not going to. And if you did, thank God you got lucky. I got to be honest with you. All right. And so like, I would say ecological dynamics and the way I start treating my athletes, and whether it's for self-defense or competition, is I want to get as close as possible to the real thing.
Yeah.
And, like, for example, like I was doing a multiple attacker drill the other day. And I posted a video on my Instagram. It's Joey Combat, in case you guys are wondering. So Joey Combat with a K. And my footwork looks deplorable. I do this little hop over some debris on the ground like I'm Peter Pan.
Yeah.
I'm standing with my legs akimbo. My legs are wide. My hands are wide. And I showed my fellow colleague guys, I go, where's my stance? Where's my footwork? Where's my triangle footwork?
Yeah.
Right? Where's my triangle footwork? Where's my stance? All right. It's there, maybe, but I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm trying to survive. I'm running, trying to like slash people as I'm running.
Yeah.
So the next thing is like getting people to do, there's probably a better word, sparring rounds or training with different people. or
Right.
different scenarios. Because like we want people to be better at problem solving, how to solve problems. All right. So again, we can't train for every situation out there. We actually have lives. We're not like samurais a long time ago. We actually have things to do. So the best we could do is to train with different body types, different scenarios, et cetera, so that we get better at solving problems. And so I have a really good fighter named Rich Pham, and he's, let's say, 5'6" or so. Pretty sure he's like around that. And he fought a 6'4" guy. And I don't know, Rich, stop taking these crazy fights. So Rich took this fight against a 6'4" guy, and we have a lot of theoretical stuff. We have a lot of academical stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna throw an overhand. I'm gonna do this when I get close to him. That's all BS.
Yeah.
How do we know this is gonna really work? Let's go find some 6'4" people.
Yeah.
That's what we did. Let's get some 6'4" people and let's try to mimic this person's game. We're lucky in this case. We're lucky that we're able to do that because we knew who the opponent was. It's not like a self-defense thing on the street or a martial arts tournament. And so Rich was able to figure out like, whoa, I can't do certain things. He almost ate a couple of knees. But these also opportunities came up for him. Day of the fight, he was able to execute them. Why?
Nice,
We want to
nice.
get closer to representation as much
Yeah.
as possible. Now, will that
Yeah.
guarantee us a win? I'm not saying that, right?
You got a better edge though.
Yeah, and
Yep.
we're increasing our confidence. Some people sit there and say, I'd rather hit pads. Pads help me get confident. Hitting the bag gets me get confident. Me smashing the bag, me smashing pads gets me confident for a fight. I get it. But what about, like, to be honest with yourself, what about your ability to read an opponent?
Yeah.
What's the confidence you're going to get from that?
Yeah.
Your ability to get into a ring and problem solve how people move around. If you've never dealt with a left-handed person before in the ring, they move different. They have challenges. Again, academically, we have these great drills to do on the bag, on pads. How do you really know? Get in the ring and see what works best for you.
I love this. We talked about earlier about killing creativity in our athletes, and because of a lot of reasons, you know, like I can just briefly tell you from my perspective as a karate guy, being around a ton of karate organizations and camps and things. This is our biggest problem. You know, I've been to so many different karate schools, and I don't mean this in an offensive way. People like, for example, to practice, you know, kata and drill sequences and stuff, and they enjoy it. And some people do it very rigorously, and they're in great shape, right? But some people say that doing all of these drills is going to prepare you for self-defense and stuff, but it's a fundamental flaw, because it's kind of like continuously writing the alphabet over and over and over again, right? Or like you were talking about live drilling and stuff, and I wrote this down. Matt Thornton, if you remember an old videotape of his functional JKD, I think it was out like in the 90s or something, through SBG Productions. He was talking about live drilling, energy, timing, and movement, or something like this. And he was saying, you know, if me and this person play chess, and okay, we have all the movements here, and okay, boom, 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 okay, go, boom, 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 okay, your turn, right? You're just repeating a bunch of movements, right? I find this stuff. What I'm trying to say is this: all these drills are killing our creativity. People who want to practice those drills are great, but if you want to focus, and I think you'd agree, on functionality in terms of self-defense purposes, the amount of time that you spend on this has to be limited.
I totally agree with you, Chris.
So my question is that, so every coach is different. I really want to know from your point of view. So at what time do you spend, how much time do you spend on these block training you're saying? And at what point do you scaffold and migrate away into this? At what point, I should say, do you intersperse this problem solving with your students? Like, like what makes you want to do that?
Almost right away.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest with you. So like, I've actually changed some things up on my academy where um, you know, guys pretty much are trying this stuff out almost like in their second, third week of joining the academy.
That's great, man.
And like, I'll tell you why, because like, how many push kicks do I need to do, or my Gary do I need to do on the bag,
Yeah.
right? And how
Yeah.
many punches do I need to do, right? And like, if we really believe that martial arts is a lifelong endeavor, well, then why can't I just revisit it, right? Why can't I do
Right.
it on my own with a bag, or like, you know, on my own training later on? But if I'm in a class with other people and your training partner are great stuff to give you feedback, let's do some partner work.
Yeah.
Let's get at it.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
why do I need to hit pads? Why do I need to do bags? If you guys want to do that on your own, go ahead and do it on your own. Same with shadow box. I used to do every class for the shadow box. All right, guys, shadow box. Shadow box is a solo thing and it's great for warm up. Now I partner up right away.
Yeah.
We're gonna partner up right away and play tag. Let's play tag right away. Now,
Yeah.
tag is a great way to start moving, and I'm
Yeah.
warming them
Yeah.
up. I'm warming them up. They're having fun. All right, they're laughing, and that's a kid's game. Let's get back to being kids. Let's get that creativity back there again. So not all my stuff is like hardcore fight to the death, because I wouldn't have a school. My school's been around for 24 years. If I
Yeah.
had that intention, I would be probably wouldn't have that school. So I'm just letting you know that these teaching methods to some degree have worked with me. I've been using these teaching methods for a while without knowing the science behind it, just by purely by accident. I guess they call it unconscious something, whatever, right? I just been doing it by purely by accident, because for me, it just doesn't make any sense. From a self-defense point of view, I suck. I sucker punch people on the street, and I got sucker punched on the street too, working the door. And a lot of stuff just does not transfer well. I looked horrible defending myself on the street. It did not look like what I thought it would be at all. There's no transference whatsoever, because I wasn't able to read a body language. I had a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu testing this weekend, and I was laughing because I was like, man, I have not trained in the gi for decades. I train no gi. I like being free.
Yeah.
You know, if I could train like with basically my shorts on and body all over me, you guys would be in trouble. All right. But the gi, oh my God, these guys are constraining me with their gi. And I was laughing because I was like, this is a different kind of element for me. 90% of my training is no gi. And to go and fight for 30 minutes straight with a gi was really challenging for me. What I'm trying to say is that I go right away with my athletes. So once I feel that they have the basic idea of it, I go, okay, let's put it to effect. So for example, we've been doing things lately like push kicks.
Mm.
Every month we have a theme. This month we've been doing push kicks. We did push kicks on the bag. We did push kicks in the air. We did push kicks on the pads. We did push kicks on our partner. You guys got it. We understand what a push kick is, right? Good. Person A can throw jabs or crosses.
Nice.
Person B,
Yeah.
use your push kicks.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
Yeah.
No one's fighting to the death.
Yeah.
It's a nice constrained drill.
But you're
We have
problem
rules of it.
solving.
Yeah, we're problem solving.
Yeah. You're
I have
figuring out
long
when to
legs.
put it in. Yeah.
What do I have to block his hands and kick? No, you don't
No.
have to block his kick. Stay away
Yeah.
in a different postal code and
Yeah.
keep kicking this guy. I'm short.
Yeah.
I'm short. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? You're gonna have to keep your hands up.
Yeah.
Dealing with a 6'4" guy. You know what? Your leg length is the length of his arms.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't tell him that. I don't
Figure
tell
it
him that
out.
at all. I'll go, you
Yeah.
know what? Figure this out. I trained with Henry Akins. He's a third-degree black belt under Hickson Gracie. I went to his seminar, and it was so refreshing. He said this: the truth is in the experience.
Mm.
The truth is in the experience. And, you know, people can say, oh, your experience is like tainted or whatever. But for this particular drill, the student comes back going, aha, I have an epiphany now on how I'd use my push kick against a tall guy. If I told him, keep your hands up, how many times do you say in class? Keep your hands up.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, keep your hands up. Hey, guess what? Keep your hands up. They don't do it.
Yeah.
6'4" guy punching down at you with control, just like, you know, we started even
Tapping,
punch towards the
touching.
gloves.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
punch towards the gloves.
Yeah.
Like, he just needs to see with his eyes. We don't have to punch each other to the death.
Yeah.
He just needs to see the punch coming towards him. Oh, I understand what Coach Joey was saying, keeping my hands up. All right. This is like the, you know, implicit learning.
Yep.
Getting hit in the head is
Yep.
implicit learning.
Natural
You can learn-
consequences.
Exactly, right? You want to touch the stove when it's hot and find out for yourself? Go ahead and touch the stove and find out.
Natural
what's hot.
consequences.
So,
Yep.
like,
Yep.
this is really important. It's like, I'm not here to like really tell students my stories or my experiences. Go figure it out yourself. Go figure it out. And Bruce Lee, I think he said this, is like, you know, you don't swim on dry land.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Get into the pool. And so like I said, I want to get my students playing the sport. And like I see them come into class and they're like, you hear your student, I want to spar, I want to spar. Whoa, slow down. We'll get there one day. And I find this is a happy medium where like, okay, we're gonna play these constrained games. They're called small-sided games. We're gonna restrict this person, this particular area. Fights happen fast. Right? Street fights happen fast, and in amateur sports, the 2-minute rounds. In a 2-minute round, things are still fast. All right, so to see those opportunities, we need to slow it down. So this is the opportunity for me to slow this particular segment of the fight. Him punching with a jab cross and me using my push kick. I'm able to work on this particular skill with these small-sided games is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah,
and so
yeah.
The games too, like you guys do this too. Boxer versus kicker.
Yep.
Oh, now I'm problem solving things, right?
Yep.
This guy wrestles, you're only out of your boxing. All right, let's try it out.
Yeah.
And then the student gets some truth through this particular experience.
Yeah.
Which is a million times better with me being the god on the stage saying, I know everything, follow what I have to say. How do I know you're telling me the truth? How can I really tell this is actually working? Right?
Yeah.
Go find it for yourself.
See,
and as soon as they come back to me and they go, wow, I'm beginning to get it now.
Yeah. I never, to be honest, my eyes lit up to this type of training through JKD. Like have you heard of a gentleman by the name of Peter Chisikos?
Oh, yeah, I like Peter, man.
Yeah.
I came to the rankings and everything. So we're both instructors under C. Larry Hartzell.
Okay.
We're both in JKD underneath them. And I like Peter. For the JKD family, right? So Peter is like me, really grappling based. So we're kind of lucky because Larry Hartzell loved us, Peter, because we're all grapplers. So that's
bias.
Good stuff. Really good stuff.
Yeah, I never trained with Peter, but I trained with one of his instructors. And he prefers not to be named because he's a principal of the school and he doesn't like to talk about martial arts and just in case things, the educational environment is they can twist things, the
way things are.
But no, what I'm trying to say is I met this man, this gentleman that was under Peter, and we it was like a blind date, he came over here and it was kind of like Justin, actually. Justin found out about me through some other people and he says, hey, Chris likes to mix things up, you should train with Chris, blah blah. Justin came over here and it was like a blind date. He showed up at the dojo here and we didn't know where to begin, so he just says, all right, let's just flow, man, let's just flow spar and see what happens. And
houses and do just want to show people's houses uninvited and start doing things, man. No, Justin's really good. Yeah,
Justin's amazing, man.
Yeah, he's actually like I have like 2 groups during the week. I have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu group and a weapons group.
Yeah.
And we all get together once a week and we actually question this stuff. So we get together and go, you have a different Filipino martial arts background than I do. We have different Filipino martial arts background. Let's put it to the test today. And let's see what we can glean from each other. What is the best result, right?
Yeah.
Going back to Matt Thornton too, he said something that really, really resonated with me. I'm a JKD guy, so I like kicking to the groin, hitting to the eyes. Also Krav Maga instructor, so we like kicking to the groin and everything. And so a lot of people are like, oh, if I hit you in the eye, hit you in the groin, the fight's over. And arguably that can happen, right? However, Matt would say, if you've never jabbed against someone in the face who's actually testing your timing, they're a moving target, and if you cannot land your jab to that guy's face, how are you gonna get your fingers into the eyes?
Yeah.
If you've never landed an inside tie kick to a guy's leg, his lead leg, right? While this person is actively resisting you, he doesn't want to get hit. He's also active resisting you. He's moving and trying to hit you too at the same time. How are you gonna get that groin kick in? All right, and we're talking about 2 people who know they're in a fight.
Yeah,
if you're gonna sucker punch someone, like
moving,
I jab someone and sucker kick someone in the groin,
and
ambush them. That's a separate thing we're talking about, right? But if 2 combatants are totally aware, they're gonna go into the parking lot and handle things, and they know what's going on. You've never trained against a person who is actually resisting you. You're not working your athletics, your conditioning. You don't know how to read people. Who cares? And again, people sit there and go, well, I do all this stuff in the air on pads, but I'm working my technique. I want my technique to be perfect. So then I would say this then. what is most important? To have the best technique or to be able to read your opponent?
Yeah.
You could have the best technique in the world, but if you don't know how to deliver that threat, if you don't know how to read your opponent, look for those openings, or heaven forbid, defend those shots, good luck. I would rather have the most imperfect eye jab. I don't know, like this or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
imperfect eye
Wow.
jab. But if I know how to read you,
Yeah.
right? I can see your openings, you're done.
You see, this is where like what I was trying to say earlier. Like, so the through Peter Chisikos, I met this guy. Let's call him Sifu Voss.
Wait,
And
what?
what's it? He introduced me to all of these things you're talking about. Because they would do this like isolated drills. Uh, you know, one versus another, like, okay, straight lines versus hook lines. Or how about clinch versus knees. I'm gonna try to clinch you, but you're gonna keep me off with your knees or whatever. And so when you train like this, it's an isolation, but you're building all these skills so that when you do open it up to problem solving and self defense, it's transferable, right? And so
Mm.
like I love this stuff. I'm just thinking like it's just good learning, as an educator, I teach, for example, let's just talk about math. I'll teach, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. Okay. And I'll spend enough time on that. And what I mean by enough is when I see that they've developed competencies on taking these numbers and doing the computations. Okay, we're done now. We got it.
Yeah, move on.
Now let's go to problems. If
Yep.
I can give you a problem where you can decode this word in the sentence and decode it into, okay, I can add here and I need to subtract here, and this means,
Mhm.
okay, minus this Johnny took away 3 baskets from blah blah. Okay, take away means subtract. If you can read all that, then you're good. And so now you just increase the level of problem solving, right? So my point to you is I learned all of this through JKD. And I find JKD along with combat sport training, okay, teaches you all these how to read and how to isolate and all these things. And so like to all the traditionalists out there, I don't mean this as a slight, but I think I want your take on this, Joey, because I know you live and breathe this stuff. So I want to know, you know, like cross training needs to happen, right? Like it just
I,
needs to
yeah,
happen.
like I think cross training needs to happen. I have a couple of things that I gathered from what you just said just now. There are a couple of things. So first of all, like because like we like to see the art and we want to see the perfect technique, it's very hard for coaches to let go of control of their class. To let
Yeah.
not to be like, hey, I want to be the all-knowing person. This is first and foremost. So like your role as a coach, as a sensei, as a crew is going to change.
Mm.
You're not going to be there and micromanaging your students. So this is really hard to let go for a lot of instructors. I go, what's my role then? You're a facilitator. You're a guide. You're basically a sounding board, right? Or using Socratic method, right, to get messages across to students, right? Secondly, too, it looks ugly. Sometimes when we're doing this stuff and sparring and these drills, they're not really good looking techniques. So people sit there and go, they look horrible. Their technique doesn't look that good. You can't have both sometimes. Do you want results or it looks good? The looking good is going to come later. But I know some of my students want to learn how to defend themselves right away. They don't care about looking good in the street. No one's going to use them for the cover of a Muay Thai magazine. They're just worried about getting home. So are we really concerned about that? Or we want to actually see them use this stuff in real time and to get the confidence, like, listen, I've seen this stuff work in class. I could actually see it work. I'm confident I could use it. I've been kicking the bag. I don't know if I could actually use this on the street unless the guy threw a bag at me. All right. It's just not like where's the confidence there? Like we're lying
Yeah.
to our students.
Yeah.
We're blatantly lying to our students. And that's just the way I see it, right? How do you know this technique really works? Let's try it against someone who's resisting. And now I'm not saying that all techniques should be thrown out, even if it doesn't work against that particular person. Just when and where can I use this particular technique? Let's investigate this methodology, right? Um, Another thing that I see happening too is cross training is really essential, especially because we live in like a homogenous area. I only do karate, I only do Muay Thai, I only do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. How do you, in effect, put your art against another art?
Yeah.
And if you're really like, and I love about martial arts, what I love about it, and I like I'm saying, right? I'm talking about self-defense, guys, and competition. If you went back to the beginning's recording, I acknowledge the fact that people do martial arts for different reasons, but this discussion is about application, right?
Yep.
So how do you know your art's the best? I love it. Everyone I talk to, Tai Chi masters, Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu, I can defend myself on the street. My art is the best for self-defense. Awesome. I love it, right? And let's prove it, or prove it to yourself. Let's get some truth from your experience. Get together with a Muay Thai guy. Let's do some friendly sparring. Let's see how would I, oh man, how do I get past these elbows and knees to get on a person? Again, safety is in mind. I say that for you guys. How do I get close to sparring and a representation of the scenario or the activity without anybody getting hurt? So I think it's really important to like cross-train for number one, you get to see how in effect use your art, right? Again, that experience. Number two, you could borrow from those training, those arts. There's something that comes from those arts. I go, you know what? Now I understand why I do a technique this particular way and why Sensei was yelling at me. I have to move my stomach at the same time. If I don't move my stomach at the same time, I'm still getting hit. So give some maybe credence to as to what you've been learning, right? Sometimes like we'll problem solve something. Like for example, Kali, lately in Kali, right? Like there's been some influence of grappling, which is really cool. Clinch work.
Yeah.
We had to steal from other arts. Krav Maga has done it. Kali has done it. And I've seen some of your videos to deal with the weapon in clinch range.
Yes.
We had to slow this person down. So where are we stealing from? We're stealing from Greco-Roman. We're stealing from some wrestling tactics and stuff like that. So we need to do that, right? And maybe the environment dictates that we're not out in a field where we can pass blades around all the time. We're dealing in close quarter battle, and we need to look at other martial arts who can afford us different solutions. So again, we're not throwing the bathwater out. We're not getting rid of our martial art. We're just basically adding tools. Now, as purists, they may have a problem with this going, it's not true, whatever. And again, I'm just coming from a point of application, all right? And then you're doing a disservice to your students if you're not giving them the tools to be able to apply themselves, right, in a self-defense situation or in the ring. We're lying to them, you know.
I gotta add in as an educator, like cross training translates directly to cross-curricular education. So like we have and it's actually a teaching methodology. So like for those who are aware of it, pardon the boredom of it, but cross-curricular education is not your traditional way of learning. It's a very efficient way of learning that especially when you're teaching multiple subjects in a public school system, for example. So you have like about 6 hours of time, and you have X amount of subjects to cover. So within this time frame, you take, so let's just say you're doing a deep dive into science. Okay, so let's just say I'm teaching science, but because of the constraints of my time and my schedule, I only have, let's just say, 60 minutes in the day to teach science. So when I'm teaching science, let's just say, for example, I'm trying to study the habitat of some animals, and we're doing a deep dive into one particular animal, and I'm looking at the habitats. Well, in order for me to do a good study on this, I'm going to borrow some statistical analysis from math. I'm going to learn how to chart some statistics. So I'm going to introduce graphing. I'm going to introduce how to get tallies. I'm going to introduce how to collect data using statistical analysis. So I'm studying science. I'm studying this animal, but I'm taking statistical analysis techniques and I'm using it to study this animal. Then I need to report about it. So I need to communicate it to my teacher or to my classmates. So I'm going to introduce how to look for main ideas, how to explain things, certain kind of words to use to talk about these particular things. And so there's this language piece. So now I'm borrowing from language techniques and bringing it in. And now let's just say I want to present it using multimedia technology. So I'm going to teach some skills from that, right? So we've got statistics, we've got language, we've got technology. All of that is cross-trained or cross-curricular education to develop your science. So so to your point, you're doing Kali and things, but you can understand it. You can gain some insight and some timing and things from wrestling, right? And I've seen your work. Like you do stick grappling, you do knife grappling.
Yeah. Yes.
It's
Yeah.
crazy, man.
Yeah. I'll address that in a few seconds. But another thing there you talk about modeling or schema. So students are taught now to start modeling and like to make correlations to other stuff, other areas.
Yeah.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
And so like we learn by modeling or schemas and stuff like that. So like that's what you're doing is like perfect, right? So like I may go to another martial art that's like got striking and I correlate to other stuff, my knowledge in the past, but you're reinforcing stuff you learned in the past, which is part of learning, which is really important. Secondly, too, you're also forcing the student to draw back on math stats and media stuff. So now you're beginning to work on how to remember techniques and tactics from other stuff, which is really, really important. So like we need to kind of like install how these learning tools into our students and make them aware of that. It's really, really key. Another good thing about cross training is that, and again, this can sometimes really piss off some instructors. I truly believe, because I have a JKD background, is not one martial art has a monopoly on self-defense.
Yes.
I respect that people like they think that their martial art is the only solution to defending themselves. I like Burton Richardson's philosophy, which I've stolen, is for me, my particular path with regards to self-defense is that my ability to defend myself on all four ranges, whether it's kicking, punching, clinching, and groundwork, with or without weapons,
yes,
against one or multiple opponents.
Yes.
This is to me my definition of self-defense, right? Can I defend myself in these four particular ranges? Can I do it with or without weapons?
I love Burton, man. He's amazing.
Everything. And can I add in these damn multiple attackers, right? And like, unfortunately, these are changing times, and like I'm not walking around like looking over my shoulder like I have PTSD and stuff like that. But like at the same time too, I think as someone that's seriously studying martial arts for self-defense, you should really, really look at yourself and go, am I actually covering all these areas?
Yeah.
Right? And you have to be honest with yourself. And like, for example, like when I did my JKD test, and I used to work the door a long time ago, the idea of ground fighting was like, only one guy's going to hit the ground. The guy punched in the face, us tough guys back then. I go, we're going to hit this guy so hard, we don't have to go down to the ground. No, when you work the door, and me being a smaller person, I ended up on the ground quite a bit. And like I said, I got beat up by a wrestler. And then I remember like for my JKD testing, I went under C4 Larry Hartzell. And Larry Hartzell was an instructor under Dan DeSanto and was reportedly a
trained with him directly.
Yeah. And so like, that's where my lineage comes from. And so like, he was really grappling heavy. And I had a feeling that my testing, which was an MMA testing, which is really cool, it was going to involve grappling. So I hired on a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, and I went to see what this thing is called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so it forced me to actually look at other areas, other opportunities. And so like, I think it's really important to do this cross-training stuff because, again, have faith in your martial art. Why not have some additions, right? Why not have a new iteration of karate or Muay Thai or something like that? Will it be karate anymore? Probably not. I would not profess that I study pure Muay Thai. Actually, I've never studied pure Muay Thai. I'm not a purist. Unfortunately or fortunately, I've been influenced by boxing, Dutch kickboxing, and Savate. And for the timing, I find that stuff influences my Muay Thai. However, for a long period, this gave my school an advantage over other schools because they were like playing in one particular gear and they weren't able to adapt to what I had to show at that particular time era. So definitely for sure, I think that cross training is really important.
Yeah, 100%. I just wanted to add, like, whenever I talk about this, I also bring in the analogy of the general practitioner as a doctor, and how he seeks advice from the surgeons, right? So like, I think as martial artists, we want to be a really good general practitioner, but we immerse ourselves in talking to, the specialists, right? And so, like we how could I say, we want to be a good jack of all trades, and master of none, right? But at the time when we're looking at these trades, we want to have mastery of a particular aspect, you know,
Yeah.
type of
So
thing.
like long time ago when UFC first came out, it was really cool because it was style versus style. You have
Yes.
this
Yes.
this style. And then people started to cross train a little bit, right? And it was almost like eclectic JKD, right? Whereas like I'm gonna take one kick from here, one punch from here, and add it to my home style. And I always argued for a long time for Vitor Belfort, who I really liked at that time.
Yeah.
How much striking does Vitor Belfort have to know to bring his weapon to bear, to bring his superhuman power out?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even though he's a very good striker back then, how much does he have to know? Does he have to be at the level of Olympic level boxing, or does he need to know enough to facilitate a takedown, get you down to the ground, and that was enough for him?
Yeah.
So again, depending on the individual and what you want to get out of martial arts, I would say, how much do you need to know to actually bring out your superhero power? Just to catch up here, so like, if you look at Greg Nelson and Eric Paulson,
Oh, I love those guys.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm speaking with I've got his text. I'm gonna get Eric Paulson on the channel at some point.
oh, no way,
Yeah,
awesome. I'm a second level instructor under Eric Paulson,
very
and
nice.
Greg Nelson I've had in my academy twice. He's a really good guy and stuff like that.
Oh,
I like to go out there and train with him one day at his own academy. But they always believe that you need to be able to control the clinch range.
yes.
If you can't control the clinch range, you can't dictate where the fight's going to go. So if you're a stand-up guy, you need to understand the clinch range so you can keep the fight on your feet.
Yeah.
If you're a grappling guy, you need to understand the clinch range in order to take the fight down to the ground.
Yeah.
And so this is where I think cross training could definitely benefit you. The next stage for myself, and where I think some people are making some great changes in the martial arts and ecological dynamics, is adding firearm training. So
Yeah.
if you don't mind, I'm gonna talk about Todd Fossey quickly. I'm bringing Todd Fossey down.
Go for it, man.
Todd
Yeah.
Fossey is I really respect him a lot.
I've heard of that name.
Yeah, he's like
Tactical guy.
he may kill me for using this term, the gun fu. And
Yeah.
basically it's like the incorporation of firearms with empty hand tactics. And we're bringing them down August 17th and 18th. That's myself and Mark Medeiros. And basically, what we're trying to basically see is his system, his ability to interrelate stand-up skills, grappling skills with firearms,
Very nice.
to dealing with other weapons. And again, this goes back to what Bertrand Richardson was saying. This is something that I think anyone who's interested in self-defense has to kind of like navigate around. You need to understand, like, hey, by the way, how would I, like, now we hear about people like breaking into people's houses. Heaven forbid it ever happens to any one of us. How would your martial arts serve you inside your own household?
Yeah.
Do you now have to be a bodyguard? Do you have to protect your dog, your kid, your wife? Now you're not only worried about basically yourself, you have to depend on other people. What would you do against 4 attackers entering your home? And now weapons are part of that element in close quarter battle. So this is why, like, for myself, I try to like question these ideas, these principles, and go, well, let's talk to an expert. So we're bringing Todd Fossey down again, August 17th, 18th. Should be really cool. Utilizing the firearm and clinch range, weapon retention, weapon, how to navigate around urban environments, et cetera, and how to retain the firearm with your standing on the ground. So it should be pretty cool.
How do people sign up for this seminar?
They can reach out to me on Joey Combat. So it's Joey Combat with a K on Instagram. You guys can harass me there. And yeah, anytime. I don't really consider it harassment. I love talking about martial arts.
Yeah. You're very approachable.
Thank you.
That's for sure.
It's
like, I got to fix my headset. One second. I've used this thing so much, it's starting to fall apart now. 1 second. Oh, all right. I'm good. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so like that's where my main focus is right now, and what's going on is diving into basically self-defense training and how people learn.
Yeah,
I really think it's important that people try and play the game as soon as they can. Now, again, Chris, like, I don't want to like crap on drills. I think drills are really, really important. For example, like my mom's 76 years old, I think. And, I wouldn't expect her to do sparring drills.
Yeah.
But she wants a certain thing out of it. Maybe she just do collie drills for hand-eye coordination,
Yeah.
some balance and stuff like that. That's why it was really important that you and I, it's good that you recognize that this is for self-defense application or competition in the ring. However, again, probably gonna like, tick off some instructors. I think there's a case in point where drills are basically just like mundane. They've kind of like just outlasted their effectiveness, their use. If you really want your student to be able to defend themselves or apply the stuff in the ring, you need to get into the pool, so to speak. And one thing that I didn't really like JKD and Kali for was like the 10,000 drills they had.
Yeah.
Like so many of these drills.
Same with karate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd be questioning stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is like subset X5-4 drill. And I get we're working one particular aspect of the fight.
Yeah.
I got it. I got it. Where and when am I going to actually use this? One day you're going to use it. Well, let's use it today.
Yep.
Let's try to do some kind of constrained sparring, limited sparring, and let's see where it comes out. And a lot of times I feel like these drills are to like make the instructor seem like he's an all-knowing power. He's amazing. Like, oh my God, Sifu's got a new edition of 50 drills. I got to buy that book. I need this stuff right away. It's a way to keep people in the system. For your next level, you need to know all of these drills.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I get it. I know how to do all these drills. I can do these drills forward, backwards, left, right, upside down, underwater. I don't know how I'm going to use this in a fight, though. I actually don't see it, how I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying we don't see these drills in a fight or in sparring. We definitely do. But the student needs to see it. Like, it's one thing for me as an instructor to tell someone else, trust me. Trust me, I'm all-knowing. And yes, it does come out in a real fight. Okay, can we get there? I want to experience that too. So how can we like maybe manipulate a sparring session where we actually see these aspects of the drill come into play? All right, against someone who's athletic, resisting you, trying to punch you, all this kind of stuff. And then the student now walks away with some degree of confidence and knowledge to go, okay, this will help my decision-making skills in the future. Because now I have the knowledge and the experience to know when I should pull this off.
Yeah.
I feel confident because guess what? I pulled it off against somebody who's resisting me. He was punching me in the face.
You see, for a martial art to be a martial art, I think earlier on in the talk, you talked about, how you have respect for everybody's different, purposes of practice and things like that, right? And, people join martial arts for different reasons. But the thing is, just by default, the fact that it's a martial art, it's you need to have the self-defense component in it. So therefore, by default, I mean, the fact that if you're introducing self-defense into your curriculum, you have to prepare them for randomization.
Yes.
You just have to. And to do that, you can't just, it's a theoretical thing. You're doing disservice by putting all this voluminous amounts of drill sets to your students. And like we talked about this earlier, I agree with you. I think it's for monetary gain and to keep control of your students, man.
Yeah, I hate to say
I said it.
It turned me off from JKD and like I used to study Goju-Ryu karate. I did ITF Taekwondo a long time ago. And like I don't know where my sensei is right now, but you probably wouldn't be happy to hear this. But I joined this particular karate school because like, that's what all the kids did in the neighborhood. So I went with all my friends, and I did boxing before I did karate. And he offered boxing on his window. I go, okay, well, he's karate and boxing, cool. And then I did karate for a bit, and it didn't mesh with me at that time. Young, hot-headed, all of this kind of stuff. So it was a different time of my life. So I was like, it didn't really resonate with me. Sensei, I want to do boxing. And he goes, you can't. And I go, why not? You're not a black belt yet.
Yeah.
And I go, I don't understand. He goes, you have to wait to get your black belt before you do boxing.
Yeah.
And that didn't make sense to me. I go, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I know like a punch is not a punch or a punch is a punch, but I'm like, dude, let's apply this right away. I want to see if this stuff really, really works. And being respectful, of course, right? Like we know that, these guys come from a position of great experience and authority, and they're ambassadors of the martial art. But to me, in the long run, I want to know how to apply this stuff. That's my goal, right? If we're going to say that we're doing this for self-defense, like you say, if you have self-defense in your curriculum, we're doing a disservice to a student by doing these drills in a sterile environment and go, hey, you could defend yourself in real life.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a lie. And I've said that too. And, you know, my coaches, we have these really frank conversations. I'm happy to say that we, to a certain degree, that we come to the same conclusion. It is a lie to your students, you know, because like they're not training, they're not able to see the real threat in front of them. They think that someone's going to start a fight like this. He could be starting with his hands behind his back.
Yeah.
With his hands in his pocket.
This is not always the stance.
Yeah. You can,
know?
like we've seen enough YouTube videos where people are irate and their hands are windmilling. There's a lot of gesticulating and stuff like that. And like, you don't know what to do. And all of a sudden that punch comes out of left field. We need to simulate that.
Yes. Yes.
We need to get some crazy people into our academy and go, hey, you're going to pretend to be a crazy person and sucker punch me. And we need
scenario training.
We need that. And like, even myself, like I need to know that because I need to get that adrenaline dump under a relatively safe environment. I need to know I get dry mouth, my fingers shake, I want to go to the bathroom, I have auditory exclusion. If I've never experienced that, and one day I get myself into a real situation and those physiological things happen to my body, what's going to happen? Oh my God, why is my hand shaking? Am I scared?
Yeah.
I have to go to the bathroom. Does that mean I'm weak? And all this kind of stuff. And it could be just your body saying, you're ready to go to combat.
Yeah.
We didn't have these conversations because we didn't actually practice that in class.
You see,
so like in class, like, what did you feel during this fight? Dude, I was scared. I had just get back to your point, Chris, in a few seconds.
Yeah.
I had a guy that was sparring the other day, and he was only kicking. In Muay Thai, we kick with our shin bone. And he was kicking with his instep. And he goes, how did I do today, coach? And I go, well, you have it looks like you may have a couple of challenges, right? Like you need to do more of this. I don't really know, right? I'm just going to guide you. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I don't really know, right? But like food for thought, do you feel like you need more experience of this? Do you feel like you need to like have more intention? Are you afraid of hurting your partner? Well, we went through a different kind of things that he could take home and evaluate and have some sense of reflection on what he did. He came out and said, I'm just scared. And I thought that was so awesome.
Yeah.
And as a young man,
it's honest.
he goes, I'm just, you know what, sir, I'm just scared. No problem. I would rather him experience that here in my academy.
Yep.
So are we going to get rid of that? I don't think a lot of us get rid of that, right? But let's find ways in programs that kind of mitigate that or live with fear. But now we understand it. Now it's on the table. We've named it. We've named it. It's on the table. Now we know and we have to deal with it. But heaven forbid, he gets into a fight out on the street. And now these internal dialogue is happening. And now he's not only fighting 1-2 opponents, he's fighting himself. He's fighting his heart and he's fighting his mind. A self-defense situation or in a competition, we must be aligned, whatever that looks like. Physicality, mental, moral, or understanding the legal ramifications, all this kind of stuff must be aligned.
Bingo.
Really critical, right?
I was just going to say that. I mean, I think, see, one thing I that drew me to you, to you and your work is your honesty and your willingness to be vulnerable in public. And, you know, like most of your, in fact, every post that I've seen lately through social media, for example, has this flavor of, hey, I ain't no expert here. I'm trying to figure this out with my guys. And these are, check out this book, check out that, go to here, check this out. Like you really are a facilitator, you know, when you say you are. And that's honorable, man. I'm striving to be that way. And I'd like to say that I'm like that too in my classroom.
No, I guess some of your videos. That's good.
You know, and like the thing is, like lately, I've been, my content is being more focused towards how do you use this karate, all this volume of stuff. How do you synthesize it and take out we've got all these different variations of punches and blocks and all these kind of things, but let's look at the main idea of how we can use this under pressure. Right. And I'm still figuring this stuff out, guys. So those of you guys who are listening to me, I ain't no expert, and I never once, you can look at all my stuff online, I never once claimed that I'm a self-defense guru. The guys in my team are tactical combative guys. They're special operations, special forces guys, police officers from all different ranges of threats. I pick their brain, and I'm sure I'd like to know your take on that. Like I don't claim expertise here, so I use these guys to as a sounding board to inform my practice, and it's an ongoing thing.
Definitely for sure. Like, it's an infinity game.
Yes, I love that term. That
to me is an
I
infinity.
love that term. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just never ending.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so like I stole it from Simon Sinek. He talks about the infinity game and stuff like that.
Sinek.
There's no winners, there's no losers, there's no rules to the game, there's no time constraints and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Probably a hard thing to address to students, especially nowadays where they want to download everything like it's the Matrix. Martial arts is a skill. And I'm gonna tell you guys right now who are listening to this stuff, and if you're having some hard times in martial arts, it's not easy. Martial arts is very, very challenging, people. And it's for a few people only who ever practice martial arts, whoever get their coveted black belt. And even when you get your black belt, whatever that may mean for your particular martial art, boxing or Muay Thai or boxing level, it never stops. It never, ever ends. And so like, this has helped me actually, I've resigned myself to that fact that martial arts is a lifelong endeavor, is an infinity game. And it's helped me address, how do I say this urgency to be an expert, this urgency to be a know-it-all. Because now it really, truly is about the journey. You know what I mean? That's what it is. So like there's no end now. So I'm allowed to play. It also has helped with my injuries. When I get injured now, I'm like, that's okay. You know what? I'm in here for the long haul. I'm going to basically just like circumvent it or adapt my way around it. I'm cool with it right now. And also too, dealing just with life. Like, come on, you and I, like, we have a life. Probably most of the people who are watching this stuff are not martial arts school owners, or they're not going to dedicate 50 hours per week to martial arts. They actually have some kind of life or a different kind of life. And so like, you're going to have weeks where like, you only make it to one practice. And in some weeks you're like, dude, I'm here every day. And so I'm blessed to be training with Ohenewa. Ohenewa is an Olympic level wrestler and black belt judo. And she says something to me that really resonated, and I'll share with you guys here. Some days it's you have to make daily deposits. And some days it's $5, and one day it's $1 million.
I like this.
But I make deposits every day. You know, I'll show up and maybe that day I only do 300 kicks. I'll do 300 push kicks because my push kicks suck. All right. And then next day, I'm like, dude, I trained for 3 hours today. And then 2 days later, I'm crippled because I'm old. And then like, you know, you gotta start the cycle over again. So having this perspective that martial arts is an infinity game has really helped me out. And so there's no sense of urgency to be an expert. I'm not an expert. You guys want to be an expert, it's good. I once heard this phrase that being an expert is boring. You know everything. Get over. Go do something else then.
I want to tell you real quick, this particular phrase I picked up from one of your Instagram posts.
Oh, thank you.
And bro, for those of you who know, I travel, train, and teach locally and internationally. And I came back from Nova Scotia and I quoted you. I was just telling them, I said, listen, guys, a lot of you, and these guys at the seminar, it was really cool because they came from all walks of life. All kinds of coaches were there and different systems and stuff. And I said, look, all you guys are here because you want to better your game. Martial arts is an infinity game, you know, and I got this from shout out to Joey Combat from back in Toronto, right? And I told him about you. I said we're going to be talking and stuff, but yeah, keep going. Sorry, I just wanted to tell you that I've mentioned you on my journeys.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But like getting goosebumps. But you know, like I think that's really important, man. That actually helped me a lot because, like, you know, I'm getting older. I'm 52 this year, and I'm 52. And so I don't heal as fast as I
look like 28, bro.
Thank you. And so I don't heal as fast as I used to. So like you get kind of like down on yourself going, oh, you know what? Like I want to play in the game. I want to keep doing this. And like I remember my physical conditioning coach was like, why do you want to keep sparring? And I go, well, because like if I don't spar, then why am I doing this? Like this is again, guys, people do martial arts for different reasons, and I want application, right? And I go, if I stop sparring, then I don't want to do this anymore. I'll do something else, right? And I always believe what Winston Churchill said, it's better to wear out than rust out.
Yeah.
And I'm going
Yeah.
to wear out. I'm not going to be that guy sitting on the couch, rusting out, letting my body decay. I don't believe in reincarnation. I don't want to come back anyway. I want to use my body as much as possible. And all you
Yeah.
young guys out there, I'm going to tell you right now, do it now. Like, do it now. Like, get out there and do as much physical stuff as possible, because there's a day, I hope it doesn't come soon for you guys, where that ends. And when that
Yeah.
ends, you don't do any physical stuff anymore. Whether it's like, God forbid, if you get sick, you get an accident, or Father Time gets you, and then you're gonna have to rely on mainly your mind, and like those your goals are mainly more, I would say, less physical now. And so I'll give you an example. Like, I thought my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu test, I had a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu grading yesterday, and I got ambushed. My instructor said to show up, so I went to go show up just to like help them, and I ended up sparring for 28 minutes straight. And
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking about that. Yeah.
time, right? And after the testing, I was talking to Amelia. I go, man, I'm kind of beat up today. I'm not feeling like as good as I should. And she goes, well, what happened?
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, I got my
You're
brown belt.
officially a brown belt.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out to Professor David Beckles for being my guide. I really appreciate him.
Yeah.
And so like I'll talk about David Beckles in a few seconds. But I think
Yes, go ahead, man.
But like, I don't know if I could do this I think I'm gonna try to get my black belt by the time I'm 54, 55. I don't know if I could do this.
Hmm.
If I'm gonna spar hard again. And so I better start gearing up to start training now for in the 2 years, the Olympics. Because if I'm gonna spar that hard again against monsters, I was sparring against monsters and they weren't nice to me. They're like, when you're a purple belt and you're the owner of the school, people want to kill you. So like I had like a target in the back of my head and people were trying to like pop my head off.
Yeah.
And so like I was telling her, I go, man, I better like get on this. I better start training. And so a little bit of regret is that I didn't start younger. And I would just
Yeah.
tell you guys out there who want to do more of the physical aspect of martial arts, do it now. Because there's a point where things start to fail you, or you don't heal as fast, or you
Yeah.
don't have a mojo that So please do that as soon as possible. With regards to Dave Beckles, my professor in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, actually used to be one of my students. And this is really, really key. He's used
This
to
is
be
a
my
good story.
yeah,
Yeah.
so when I started KOMBAT ARTS Training Academy 24 years ago, come August, it's our 24th anniversary. And I did a demonstration and he saw it. He goes, I want to learn that. And through time, David was my student through Muay Thai, Savate Boxe Francaise, Filipino martial arts, and JKD. And then he left to pursue Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to go with instructor. His instructor left our academy, so he went with him. And he in turn got his black belt. And now I'm happy to say he's back at my academy teaching me. So it's full circle. My student is now back teaching me a different martial arts. And I think as instructors, it's important to understand this idea of the influence you have on your students. And John Wooden talked about that. John Wooden is an infamous basketball coach. And he said, you don't really know the effects you have on your students, whether scholastically, like, in school or in martial arts and sports and stuff like that, until 20 years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
then when that student comes knocking on your door and you look at him and what he's done with his life, then you'll see if your teachings has stuck
Yeah.
years later. And I'm proud to say that Dave is one of my students, and like 24 years later, he's awesome. He's awesome. So I'm happy to say that I've had some positive influence on
Good
him.
on you, man.
And I get to see that influence come to some kind of fruition, right? That I'm part of his journey. So as educators, coaches, martial arts senseis, instructors, and stuff like that, you are in a position to affect people greatly. It's a huge responsibility. And I think that's really, really important. Like we talk about how you change in the world. I can't change the world, but I can influence the immediate circle around me. I
Yeah.
can influence people around me. And I could do that through different ways by being a good role model, whatever that means. And I'm not like, I make a lot of mistakes in life. So like being a good role model, whatever your definition of that is, and also to your transfer of knowledge to people and to make these people better. I mean, you and I talk about this a lot. Martial arts is not just only in the dojo, it's outside of the dojo. How do you actually represent your martial art outside of the dojo? Now, we're not talking about your physicality here, we talk about focus,
Your
discipline,
actions. Yeah.
goals, stuff like that. It's a lie. Do we really actually teach our students that? Do we really do that? What are we doing to enforce those particular ideas, those soft arts, those soft aspects of our martial arts? So again, I feel like sometimes we need to get back to those traditional aspects of honor, discipline, stuff like that. Because we talked about the sports martial arts and self-defense. Sometimes the bad thing about sports martial arts and self-defense is we forget about those character traits. We forget our ability to reinforce those ideas too, right?
Yeah.
I think that's sometimes a healthy compromise between like, we're gonna make good human beings at the same time show them make them capable human beings. Why can't we do both? Why can't we make great human beings and capable human beings at the same time? Sometimes we make great human beings, they're good at the soft stuff, but they're not really capable of defending themselves. They're not capable of fighting. If that was your goal as an instructor and or as a student.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to say that's the effect. So I just want to share with you guys, instructors out there and stuff like that. Please don't people sit there and go, oh, you know what? He's just a martial arts coach. That's not the case at all. You're in a position to cause great change in the immediate circle around you. That person may go on to have greatness in their life. They may be a politician that affect great change. They may solve poverty, find a cure for cancer, yada, 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 yada. And then indirectly that could be aligned to martial arts. So yeah, don't give up on that, guys, because I know sometimes as a martial arts coach, you're like, oh my God, are these guys getting it? They're getting it, and sometimes like parents, you're a parent, they get it by watching you
Yeah.
as an instructor.
Yeah.
All right. You get it by watching you. They go, wow, this person is following this particular path of the martial arts. He's not giving up karate. He's still pursuing karate, but he's like, let's test it. Let's see if this stuff is actually true. When and where would I use this kind of stuff? On a parallel, how do I use that to my life? How do I take this kind of learning methodology and me questioning things and learning how to learn? How do I apply that to other aspects of my martial arts? I mean, other aspects of my life. I think that's really critical.
Yeah. And I think just to piggyback on what we were talking about before, and this is to all the students and more importantly, instructors out there. I think if you honestly, as Bruce Lee would say, honestly express yourself, and showcase to everybody, your mentors and your peers, that you're continuously growing, that you don't have all the answers, but you're willing to find out and help each other out and stuff, and just basically be a good, honest person. That speaks millions, man. And you get student retention from that, I find, as opposed to hoarding everything and controlling things and this and that. I mean, I walked into your club a couple of times, and it's a great place to be. I came in. I don't know if you remember a while back with Mark Medeiros. We did some filming together.
Yeah. I still have those somewhere. I gotta look for them. But yeah, that was great.
Yeah, we did some trapping for boxing kind of thing. I had a great time doing that, and I think I came for some sort of training there. You have a lot of events going on over there, but I walk in and I'm seeing on the mat grappling on one side. I'm seeing Kali on another side. I see people working on all kinds of different aspects of martial arts. I see smiling faces. I see parents. I just see focus and fun, bro.
Yeah.
And that's all you, man.
Thank
you.
You.
Like you fostered that, bro.
Yeah.
There's
something culture that is really, really important.
Yeah.
Right now we're going through a culture shift. Our academies, we try to make things better. I'm getting older, so what does that succession look like and stuff like that? And we're dealing with a new breed of students nowadays, right? So the culture does change a little bit. We still try to keep the core ideas. I think it's really important because, again, when people learn at your academy, your school, they need to feel safe. That's really, really critical, right? And I don't mean just safety about getting hurt physically. Safety for them to come to an instructor and maybe disagree with them. That's critical. And so going back to Rich Pham, one of my fighters,
I heard a lot about Rich through
my academy. I didn't want him on my academy. And so I was like, Muay Thai has to look like this. This is the way I expect Muay Thai to look at. And he has I think a Kung Fu background. So he show up doing these spinning moves and he had these baggy pants. And I was like, I can't train this guy. I can't train this guy. I don't want to train this guy. And so we had a disagreement and he left my academy. Years later, he came back to my academy. I think to train with one of our boxing coaches. And my boxing coach said to me, he goes, Joey, this guy wants to fight underneath you. He wants to fight in your Muay Thai program. And I go, okay, I've matured. Let me see what he has to say.
Yeah.
All right, I've matured.
Yeah.
All right. And I look at him and he's still doing that spinning stuff and everything. But this is what makes him unique. And why would I stifle his creativity?
Yeah.
And, you know, he's going to fight Muay Thai for me. Why would I like say, no, you can't do that. It's not pure Muay Thai, whatever that looks like, right?
He can use it. He can use all those skills.
He does Andy Hug. You know Andy Hug? You must
know
Andy.
Oh, I know Andy. Well, I know of him.
And his last fight, 6'4", the giant he's fighting, you know, Daniel versus the Goliath kind of, David versus the Goliath kind of thing. He did a spinning hook kick to the guy, spinning heel kick to the guy's leg.
Wow.
Rich did a spinning heel kick to the guy's leg, straight out of Andy Hug's
style. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Karate, right?
Yep.
Not traditional Muay Thai. I don't care. I'm there to win, right? It's a technique that was afforded in this toolbox. Let's see how it works, right? And so like now my job is like, okay, I need to guide him and go, how can we use this in alignment with our Muay Thai teachings at Combat Arts? This is our goal, right? Let's be on the same music sheet together.
Yeah.
All right? Let's work together. And that's
this is differentiated instruction. If you remember, we talked about this earlier, this concept. Differentiated instruction is like, you know, as an educator, you know, we have a sea of, let's just use as an easy number, 30 students in your classroom. Okay. Each they're 30 individuals.
It's probably more than 30 to be honest.
Well,
but
exactly. But let's just say, you know, you have X amount of students. Every single person that makes up that X is an individual. Why would you want to stifle their individuality and kill them through let's go through a drill set box? You know, if they have this flashy skill set of spinning and whatever from wushu or whatever, taekwondo, hapkido, whatever, use that. Find a way. I think it's up to us as coaches, you know, to find ways to teach this and unlock it and bring it out and attach it to our agendas. You know what I mean? Like our objectives, I should say. You know, and I'm continuously learning different ways to do that, you know, as years goes on. Like so I'm interested to know, how did you how did that pan out for you? Like how did you take him, Mr. Pham there, and utilize all of this?
We get together on pads and we just like freestyle pad holding, and we just go to and we just kind of like riff together. And he would do a spinning kick, and I go, oh, I like that kick. Have you ever tried doing it from here? And we just like collaborate on ideas. And so me as a coach, like I talked about invariance earlier in this podcast, I just want to make sure my fighter's safe. Does he understand to keep his chin down? Where are his hands after that? Can he get out of the kitchen? What happens if his technique fails? Let's do a deeper dive into this kind of stuff. Is this like a fad? It's like basically like a trick, or is this something that could actually be like a tool, like a hammer in your toolbox? And so like we have conversations about this, you know, and we respect each other. There's no guru, there's no sage on the stage. We respect each other. Yeah. And in fact, he's the one going in there endangering his life. I'm on the side playing with the controls. Hopefully he does what he has to do, right? So we collaborate on techniques together and we have honest discussions about it. Do we agree all the time? Definitely we don't. But our culture allows us to do that. Yeah. And there's safety there. He knows he can come to me and goes, what do you think about this technique? So for example, a long time ago, a student would come to me and goes, hey, I learned this new technique on YouTube. Go away. Today we're doing this. I don't care. Yeah. And now I've softened. I don't, hopefully it's not old age. I think it's maybe my acceptance about just different teaching methodologies. He'll go, I learned this on YouTube. And he'll show it to me. I go, okay, so now go do your research and development. Come back and show me what you learned. All right. And I'll like, maybe he's onto something. Maybe he's right. What do I know? Yeah. All right. I've been doing research for X amount of years, right? 30 plus years. Maybe he knows something I don't know. Let him go play with it and experiment with it. He can come back and show me his research and development. I'm cool with that. I really am. And part of that has been the infinity game. And also too, like having that culture of like, hey, you know what? Like I like people to approach us with different ideas. And also too, again, I think a lot of instructors are going to have a hard time with this. I get it. When you first get your whatever your black belt or your instructorship coaching certification, what have you, from different arts, you're like, man, I'm the master, and then people
Yeah.
have to respect me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know everything, and I'm the god, right? And to kind of lose that feels like you're losing control. But to me, I think there's more freedom. I think there's like, you know what? I don't have to know everything. I want to
That's right.
collaborate learn with you because, to be honest, Chris, I'm a white belt. I
Yeah.
love learning. I continuously go through Bruce Lee's cycle of accumulation and elimination. I
Yeah.
accumulate stuff, I eliminate. I accumulate and eliminate. That's what I basically do. Maybe I reiterate. Maybe basically I make things better. I make things that suit my particular body type,
Yeah.
right? So like, I'm okay with it. And I think that's the challenge with instructors is that they're afraid they're going to lose control. They're holding tightly to the student with all
Yeah.
these 10,000 drills and stuff like, look at this drill. I have a drill for this. But your students are not dumb. They know how to access the internet. They're probably on YouTube longer than you are.
Yeah.
They're questioning other people from other schools, other styles, and go, hey, what are you doing against this? Aren't you best served to go, hey, I like you to explore stuff and bring it back, and let me show you how we use karate to deal with that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Broaden your horizons, broaden your knowledge base and stuff like that. Again,
Yeah.
alleging that you should throw your martial art out. Maybe it might come down to that. I don't know if you might have epiphany, and a particular individual is like, this is not suited for me. I don't like this. That's fine too. Find what works best for you. But if you love this particular martial art, and if you're interested in applying this for self-defense, then you need to investigate all training methodologies to see how you bring out your best of your martial arts. You have an obligation to do that. And you have an
Yeah.
obligation as an instructor to basically investigate those ideas. The
That's
world
key, man. That's key. That's
is
key.
smaller. It's like
Yeah.
the world is smaller. We could access anywhere in the world. It's easy for us to fly somewhere. We could get things on internet. There's like long time ago when I did martial arts, I think our highest ranking in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu was a blue belt. Man, if you had a blue belt, you were a god. And wow, there's a rumor. There's a guy like 50 miles away that has a purple belt. We need to go see this guy. Now it seems a black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in every street corner. You're not hiding anything, guys. You're not.
Nope.
Your students are smart. They will start to question things and investigate things on their own.
Especially now with the internet and just the buffet of information out there.
Yeah, exactly. The buffet of stuff out there. So like,
Yeah.
you as an instructor, like, and this is a very uncomfortable conversation, right? And again, like, I love it. I love when guys go like, my martial art is the best for this, and I go, that's cool. Prove it. Not to me. No, actually,
Yeah.
not to me. Like, be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
To yourself, and then have your students because another aspect of success is like, let's see your students do it.
Yeah.
Let's see your students actually stay within the constraints and parameters of your martial art and apply it against God knows what. At least let's see how that works. All right, because
Yeah.
like I said, going back to John Wooden, let's see the application of your teaching. We know you're the ninja, you're the grand poupon, but what can your students do? And that's a direct reflection, right?
Yeah.
That's really, really key, right? Your lineage. So yeah, like you guys are on the right path, Chris. Like, I think it's really, really awesome. Unfortunately, I think you're few and far between. I think there's the instructors of your quality and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of instructors doing this stuff maybe haphazardly. And
Yeah.
we do it like from Peter's time and JKD family and stuff like that. We do a lot of these drills because I think inherently something feels wrong.
Mm.
Something feels off.
Yeah.
And we need to question this stuff.
Yeah.
My only thing is that I see a lot of people jumping on this kind of stuff. That's why we're bringing Todd Fossey down, because Todd Fossey seems to have a system of ecological dynamics. And so the only thing I would recommend to instructors who are interested in this kind of learning and teaching is obviously, number one, right? Experiment on your own. Question things, right? Are you close to the real thing as much as possible? Got to be safe. Can't be using real knives or tasers or, hitting
Yeah.
each other full contact in the head. We're ethics here, and safety is really, really important. But are we getting close to it? Are we training our students to train their eyes, Do they know what to look for?
Yeah.
Are they actually working on their ability to recall things? All right. Decision-making skills and problem-solving skills. Or are the 10,000 drills we're doing taking away those creativity and controls and learning from students? If I'm just flashing pads like this and you know what to do, there's no decision-making involved in that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Preparing them for real life situations. So I would, experiment, have fun. And I think you might find your students really like it. Number two, help me out. Go out there and investigate ecological dynamics.
Yeah.
Show me how you're applying this to your martial arts training, your craft, and message me. I have a Joey Combat with a K. Show me what you're doing.
Yeah.
I would be really, really interested because I'm a neophyte in this. But like most people with learning addictions, I'm a deep dive. I've been like talking to different people and like really getting in there. It's really fascinating stuff. Ecological dynamics, I'm going to caution you. You really want to get rid of block training. You think that block training is really not important. I disagree. Through my learning so far, I think still there's fundamentals.
You need some foundational.
There's still a need to learn fundamentals through something we call block training. However, guys, get into the pool. Like, play it a sport, please.
Jump in.
All around a pylon. That does nothing for you and your students with regards to learning to really apply their martial art. Honestly, guys, if you're not doing that, I think you're lying to your students, and I think you're lying to yourself, in all honesty.
Yeah. Oh, bro, this conversation has been amazing.
Thank you.
But before we close, is there anything you'd like to promote? Anything upcoming? Any big events that you'd like to talk about? I know you have a book out.
Oh yeah, I have a thing called Drillers or Killers. That's actually behind me.
Yeah.
Drillers or Killers. It's actually for all striking arts. Maybe I'll get Chris to like share the link with you guys. It's for free. Yeah. Basically, I'm known for torturing my students. And so like there's about 17 to 20 conditioning drills for strikers. So it's for Muay Thai and kickboxing, but in reality, it's for all striking arts. So if you like the taste of vomit in your mouth, or you want to die, then definitely check out this book. I made this book because like people had harassed me in class. I'd watch people in school kind of wandering like ants at a picnic, not really doing anything useful. And I'd be like, here, you got to do these drills, right?
Yeah. And
we're busy. We're extremely busy. So sometimes we need some guidance. And so this is a good reference for most people. It's for free. I'll give you guys the link, or Chris can share that link with you guys later on.
Yep.
And then again, we have Todd Fossey coming down. Todd Fossey, it's a unique group. It's basically learning how to defend against edge weapons, batons. Also, too, with the dynamics of having a firearm on you. All right. So you don't have to be law enforcement. You don't have to be basically in security. We have law enforcement officers coming out, military people, bodyguards. We have stunt guys coming out who want to learn this kind of stuff. And we have people who are just genuinely curious, because this is one aspect of self-defense to me. They have limited training. I'm not saying that you guys should be carrying guns out there. I know probably you're not. Obviously, people are not carrying guns out there. Hopefully you're not. But it's a question that you might want to be curious about. What happens if you did do those amazing gun disarms you learned in class, and now you have this gun in your hand? How would you aim it against the other attackers? All right. So this is not about application of you guys carrying weapons. And I think you and I talked about that, of guys that carry weapons. And I think that people that carry weapons, EDCs, everyday carry, guys, you romanticize carrying weapons, and you're forgetting the legal aspect of this stuff.
Yep.
And, maybe there's another discussion Chris and I could have in the future, but like for those guys that everyday carry and you carry tools on you, whatever, I caution you, under what situations would you actually use those EDC? All right. And remember, we're in Canada, people. And you have to be able to differentiate these.
Oh, the laws here are very, very different from the States. Very different.
Fantasizing these really cool ideas and ching, like an acupuncturist, and fantasizing these really great ideas and stuff like that. Time and place for it, I get it. Show me when and where and how would you use it? Why would you ever use those particular tools?
Yeah.
Is this a discussion going back to the cues for a student? Why would he ever use this kind of stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you ill preparing your student where he draws and now he's in jail? And that's on you, because you didn't prepare that person for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this is like going back, we're having Todd Fossey down. And so guys, hopefully you come check it out. Again, I'll send Chris a link and everything.
Yep.
Maybe I'll give you guys a discount and everything because the pre-sale's over. I'll give you guys a discount for that. And yeah, if you're interested in firearm training and merging your martial arts together in a cohesive system, do these systems speak to each other? That's really important. And one more thing. Yes, Chris, that's really important. I guess we didn't touch on that. Don't be like some of my eclectic martial arts buddies where you take certain techniques and you kind of like try to make things fit together. These systems that you guys are born from, and there's nothing wrong, you need to make sure these speak to each other. It's really, really key. For example, if you're a kickboxer and you stand left foot forward, but you do a double leg takedown with right foot forward, you're going to have a problem. Only do weapons right foot forward and weapon disarms right foot forward, but you do kickboxing left foot forward. These two systems do not speak to each other, and your body's going to have a hard time on a conflict under duress.
It'd be ambidextrous.
Yeah, you need to have systems speak to each other. Sorry, Chris, I could babble incessantly about this kind of stuff. I really
no, this is great, man. I am so glad we actually finally did this. I've been always wanting to talk to you and reach out to you because I'm telling you, man, you're an honest guy. You keep growing, and you're taking. You're just like a sponge, right? And I'm learning to be that way myself, you know, and people appreciate that, man. So stay tuned, guys. This is going to be out on my channels. Follow Joey, check out his book, check out his socials. I'm going to put all those links in the description. Hop on over to Joey's Club, man. It's a great place. I've been there, and I got nothing but smiles.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I'm going to...
Thank you.
Us.